Welcome to science class. Today we are going to learn about air pressure and wind. Air pressure is basically imperceptible to us. The only time you are going to notice changes in air pressure is if your ears pop. In case you've ever wanted to know, here's why that happens. You have a chamber behind your eardrum called your middle ear. There's a tube that connects the middle ear to the air outside through a tube called the eustachian tube, which connects to the back of your throat and is usually closed. If you ever had an ear infection as a kid, this is the part that actually gets infected. If you go up in altitude, the pressure around you drops, but the air inside your middle ear stays pressurized. Eventually, the difference in pressure gets too great, and some of the air naturally rushes out. That's the popping sensation. It does not pop out of your eardrum, it pops out through the eustachian tube. Truth be told, your ears pop all the time. If you're in a quiet place, pause this video and swallow. You'll hear a tiny audible click inside your ears. That's your eustachian tubes opening and closing. Anyways, why are we going to take a whole video to learn about air pressure? When it comes to weather, air pressure is the biggest difference between this or this. And air pressure also explains where wind comes from. Let's get started. Strictly speaking, air pressure is the force exerted by the weight of air. Earth is huge, and Earth's gravity pulls the molecules of the atmosphere towards its surface. The atmosphere is thin and light, but it extends a long ways vertically. At sea level, an area about a square centimeter large, close to the size of your pinky fingernail, has about a kilogram of air pushing down on it. But air doesn't exactly push down on anything because air pressure is exerted in all directions. This is why a thick piece of paper can hold the water in an upside down cup. The air pressure over the surface area of the opening in the glass is greater than the weight of the water. In this case, the only part of the paper exposed to the atmosphere is under the cup, so air does push against it. Let's talk about suction cups. Suction is not a force, it's an illusion. What a suction cup really does is force the air out between it and the surface it's on. And now the only place where there is air pushing against the suction cup is on the outside. The air pushes the suction cup against the surface. And while we think the air pressure is weak, that 1 kilogram per square centimeter adds up quickly. A suction cup that is only 10 centimeters across could support my entire body weight. I could hang from it, although I don't think I would. Air pressure alone is what causes this. That tank had all of the air drawn out from inside of it, and the external pressure was so great, thanks to the very large surface area of the tank, that it caved in. Air expands when it is warm, and the expansion is caused by the molecules of gas having more kinetic energy. Molecules literally push against surfaces. That's why a balloon expands. If you heat a balloon, it expands even more. You're not adding air, you're just giving each molecule more energy, more push. Here's an experiment you can do. Fill a water bottle with the hottest water your sink can make, then quickly dump out all of the water and tightly screw the cap on. Then leave the bottle out or put it in the fridge. You will see that the bottle collapses on itself. The hot water made the air inside the bottle hot, so the air pushed against it with greater than normal force, which in effect decreases the number of molecules of air in the bottle. As the environment steals heat energy from the air inside the bottle, the air in the bottle can no longer push hard enough to maintain the bottle's shape, and it is crushed by the outside air. The universal, or SI unit of pressure, is the Pascal, which is the equivalent of 1 kilogram per meter squared. Standard air pressure is over 100,000 pascals, but meteorologists divide this number by 100 and call it the millibar. So standard air pressure is a little over 1,000 millibars. A clever device called a mercury barometer can measure air pressure and the weight of the atmosphere. Take liquid mercury, which is very dense, and completely fill a tube with it. Then submerge it upside down in more liquid mercury. The mercury in the tube will fall into the larger container of mercury, but only to a point. The weight of the atmosphere is pushing down on the surface of the mercury, and the mercury has nowhere to go but up through the tube. Whatever the weight of the remaining amount of mercury in the tube is, equals the weight of the air pushing down on the liquid mercury. At sea level, this would leave a column of mercury just under 30 inches tall, which is why in America you will see air pressure measured in inches, or INHG. Hg is the atomic symbol for mercury. If you've ever opened a bottle or a can of soda, if you've ever punctured a CO2 canister, if you've ever sprayed air freshener, if you've ever blown up a balloon only to let it go and watch it fly around, then you have seen the effects of differences in air pressure. The air inside all of those containers is greater than the outside air, and air rushes to where the pressure is lower. Here's a map indicating air pressure. The H stands for high pressure, the L stands for low pressure. These bars are called isobars, and they indicate all of the places where the air pressure equals a certain amount. As you can see, next to the H, the air pressure is 1024 millibars, while near the L, the air pressure is only 992 millibars. This would cause air to move from the area of high pressure to the area of low pressure. That's what wind is, the movement of air from high to low pressure. So what is the cause of differences in pressure? It's caused by differences in heating. Many factors influence how much heat an area receives, but in general, the air in an area that receives more heating expands, while the air in areas that receives less heating contracts. That's what causes the differences in pressure, and why we see wind move towards low pressure areas. If you look at a more detailed map, which shows wind speed and direction, you'll notice a few things. One is that wind speed is greatest where there are many isobars close together. This makes perfect sense because you are dealing with multiple changes in pressure over a short distance. But you will notice that the wind direction does not point directly towards the low pressure area, and it does not lead directly away from the high pressure area. This is caused by our old friend, the Coriolis effect. As we learned before, in the northern hemisphere, air is deflected towards the right. As you can see, all of the lines that point towards the low pressure area don't point directly to it, but slightly to the right. This causes air to circulate around low pressure areas counterclockwise, which is to the left. If that doesn't make sense, imagine a merry-go-round. You push the merry-go-round to the right, but that causes it to spin counterclockwise, to the left. Hurricanes rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere because of this. In the southern hemisphere, they rotate clockwise because the deflection of wind is opposite what it is in the northern hemisphere. In reality, the direction of wind on the ground is not a perfect reflection of these maps. The largest factor that influences wind direction on the ground is topography, or the shape of the land. Mountains, forests, cities, all of these things deflect the wind and cause it to change direction. High up in the atmosphere, where there is no friction, you get jet streams, which are massive currents of air that encircle the globe. From time to time, warm air rises and deflects the northern polar vortex, which makes it descend to lower latitudes. This is sometimes called the polar vortex, and it can bring unusually cold weather to an area. In March of 2019, when I still lived in South Dakota, wind chills made the temperature drop to -60 Fahrenheit. Again, that was in March. Next time, it's the thrilling conclusion of meteorology, where we will discuss weather and climate. Thanks for watching.